Okay, honestly speaking, I love you, but this needs to change. And I really am for you, but this area right here, we need to really look into this and try and shift things and make things a bit different. The fact is,
Yeah.
money can make or break a relationship. Do you find yourself in a relationship and you feel that your partner is bad with money, or you feel like they're making terrible financial decisions that's starting to impact your relationship? We really feel for that and we understand that. And one thing that is very common is that couples have very different money personalities. You may find that one is a big saver and the other isn't, or one is a big believer in investing and the other one isn't. Today, what I want to share with you is 3 things that you shouldn't do if you're in a position where your partner is bad with money, 3 things that you should do to at least try and help them to improve their financial situation and everything that's going on with their money, and then 3 things that you should do for yourself to make sure that you are navigating yourself in this position in the right manner and in the right mindset. But what exactly does it mean that my partner is bad with money? Now, we understand it because it is real, but what are some of the things that I would be doing myself for you to then turn around and think to yourself that, okay, Tanda is really bad with money here?
For me, it would be overspending, for example. Now, I completely understand people have a budget, and here and there you'll overspend, you'll go over budget. It does happen, if we're being honest. However, if you consistently do it and it's now a habit and it becomes a thing, then that's where I'd start to think maybe you're not as good with money as I thought you were. But also, if we find ourselves in a situation where we have debt or something, and then instead of paying off that debt, you keep overspending or also getting us into more debt. That's the type of situation where I think, nah, Tanda's bad with money, because why are you putting us in a situation where you're building more and more debt,
Right.
yet we've got debt that we actually need to get rid of?
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing, isn't it? Is to say the financial decisions that I'm making that put
Yeah.
both of us in a position where it's negatively impacting us. That's when we start to feel like, okay, my partner is bad with money, because it's not about kind of you judging me based on my spending
Yeah.
habits, but it's
Yeah.
really about the decisions that I make that would negatively impact the both of us.
Yeah.
That will then lead you to think that, okay, my partner is bad with money. Okay, so let's start off then with the 3 things that you shouldn't do if you find yourself in a position where your partner is bad with money. What would you say is the first thing that you shouldn't do?
So the first thing that I would say is don't ignore it and don't just leave it alone. I understand that it must be a scary situation to be in and really uncomfortable for you. However, leaving it is most likely going to make it worse for the both of you, actually, because on your part you're feeling like, well, my partner's bad with money, and you could easily end up building resentment towards them because you feel like, well, why isn't he changing, or why isn't it becoming better when dealing with our finances? But the more you leave it, the worse that it gets.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that, and I love that. And the second thing that we think that you shouldn't do if you're in this position is to then go the opposite way, where you take control of every single thing to do with your finances in an effort to stop your partner from making certain financial decisions. Now, although this sounds good, it doesn't actually fix the issue at heart, because the issue really is that your partner is making certain decisions that are impacting your finances. And so the fix shouldn't be that you stop them from making financial decisions at all. It should really be that you would encourage them to take ownership and responsibility to change. And so don't fall into the trap of controlling everything. The way I say it is that, you're my partner, you're not my child. So it's not my job to then kind of control every single thing that you do and every single penny that you spend and every single place where you go to spend that money, because you're not my child. We're working together, we're partners. But at the end of the day, I should make sure that I don't fall into the trap of controlling every decision that you make with your money. And that's what we mean by don't fall into that trap, essentially, of trying to then control everything that they do. But they should really take some ownership and some responsibility to say, I want to change and I want things to be different for me and for the both of us.
Yeah, I actually like the way that you put that. And the third thing that I would say you shouldn't do is to be shy or timid. If you find yourself in this situation, it could be easy for you to keep trying and trying and trying to address it and not seeing any change happen. And then you get to a point where it's like, well, if you can't beat them, just join them, or you're simply like, I've tried so hard and no change is happening. I might as well just, just be the same. Or why am I the only one that cares? I'm
Right.
just going to go off and do the same thing that you're doing. However, in order to foster change, you have to be firm. You
Mm.
have to keep trying until something changes.
Yeah, that is so good. That is so true. So those are the three things that we feel that you shouldn't do if you're in this position, particularly to enable the change to happen for your partner to start improve their financial situation,
Right.
their money habits, and everything that they're doing.
We totally understand how tricky and confusing it can be to handle money as a couple, especially in a way that works for the both of you. So that's why we created the Couples Money Starter Kit.
Yes, the Couples Money Starter Kit is a workbook that is packed with practical tips, practical exercises that you can put in place for the both of you to start working together as a team with money, because we understand that money can make or break a relationship and we don't want it to break yours.
So make sure you check it out. The link is in the description.
So let's get into the things that they should do, right? So what are the things that you should do to support your partner in this transition, particularly if they're bad with money? What's the first step that you feel they should take?
I'd say the first step is to actually try budgeting together.
Right.
I know we talk a lot about budgeting and people may think not another budget, but I actually think trying to budget together and showing them the numbers, showing
Mm.
them the figures could actually help them understand why you are the way that you are, or why
Yeah.
you're saying let's be more responsible with our finances. A lot of
Mm.
the times when people are shown figures, I think it helps to then understand. It's very different if you're throwing numbers at them
Mm.
but not showing them an actual budget. But if you sit down with your partner, show them the figures, try and do it together, have a money date night,
Mm.
approach it from a loving and kind place,
Mhm.
I think your partner would receive it in a better way than
Mm.
if you're just shouting numbers at them.
Yeah, and I think adding on to that, right, when you are looking at your budget, because what usually happens in these positions is where your partner is paying some money towards the
Yeah.
bills and some money towards the shared living expenses, and they may not really understand that, well, I've already paid my share of the
Yeah.
bills. Why is this a big issue? But from your perspective, you're thinking, well, yes, the bills are paid, but I'm also overpaying on the food. I'm overpaying on the
Right.
family care.
Right.
I'm also paying for this, that, and the other. And they may not actually see that. And so when you go through a whole budget from top to bottom
Right.
together, they can actually see the bigger picture of how you're seeing it and be able to think, oh, okay, although I'm paying for the bills, I do understand that you've been picking up the slack a lot in this
Yeah.
particular area. So that's a great thing to start, and a great place to start is definitely a budgeting together. The second thing that I will add on to that is maybe try different things, right? So try a no spend month. Try going on a money diet of some sort.
Yeah.
Try to do something that will, I guess, encourage or discourage the spending, should we say, and encourage them to change. This might be cutting up your credit cards so they don't have any credit cards to spend on. And this might be the both of you working together to say, all right, this month we won't spend, we won't
Yeah.
go out eating out or to the cinema. We won't do anything lavish. We'll simply stay at home, have home cooked meals, and just try and have fun at home in the best way that we can. But what that does is this starts to curb the appetite to
Yeah.
spend money,
Right.
the appetite to shop around when you're going out, or the appetite to eat out a lot every weekend if you're doing that. So that's one thing I would definitely say, try something different in the way that you're managing your money habits and your money situations, because that helps to change the situation.
And you can challenge each other. I
Yeah.
think like sometimes a good challenge is nice in a relationship. So just challenge them to, okay, just go the week without spending.
That's it.
Let's see what will
Exactly.
happen. You can have a price if you want, but let's go the week. Let's see who can spend the least this
Yeah.
week. Let's
Yeah.
see who can do that this week.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
challenge each other, and you're helping each other grow in a way by challenging each other. So yeah, the third thing that you can actually do is to lead by example. It's so encouraging when someone tries to teach you something and then you see them doing exactly what they taught you. So that could be something that you try and do in your relationship where you lead by example. Let your partner see you doing those things that you're telling them to do. Let your partner see you spending less than you were spending the week before. Let your partner see you changing your money habits as well. And also try involving them in things. Involve them in the budgeting, involve them when it comes to debt repayment, involve them whenever you're doing anything to do with your finances. The more you involve them, I think it encourages them more to start working on their money personality as well and start improving when it comes to the finances.
Yeah, and absolutely. And that's really great. Those are the three things that we think you could try to support your partner,
Right.
particularly if you're going through this transition together, right? But then there are certain things that we also think you should be doing for yourself. It's all good and well to try and support your partner who is bad with money, and we encourage that. That really shows a good heart, a good spirit, particularly fighting for your relationship and making sure that you are going to work together as a team with money, because the fact is,
Yeah.
money can make or break your relationship, and these sorts of situations that can really affect your relationship. You should still definitely put some sort of thought of, okay, how can I cover myself as I'm going through this position and
Right.
through this situation with my partner? The first thing that I think you should definitely, definitely do without a shadow of doubt is to set very, very clear boundaries
Right.
and very, very clear rules around, okay, I am in this position right now. This is what my partner is doing at the moment. What is it that I am willing to take? And what is it that I'm not willing to
Right.
take? How
Absolutely.
far am I willing to go? And at what point am I just honestly just going to say, I've gone far enough with this.
Yeah.
I can't go any longer with this. And it's really clear up for you to be honest with yourself and say, this is as far as I'm willing to take. So it might be that you're willing to say, okay, you know what? As long as I can see they're trying to spend less than they earn,
Yeah.
and as long as they're not going to impact our living expenses in our household and our family expenses, then that's as much as I'm willing to take. But if they ever cross a certain line,
Mm.
we're going to have a real big issue. We're going to have a real serious problem. The reason why this is important for you to set up front is because this is not going to change
Right.
overnight. This is not going to change next week. This is not going to change next month. It will take a long time to change someone's habits and for you
Mm.
to kind of grow together and start to figure out, okay, what works together for the both of us. But having those clear boundaries up front will kind of help you to judge and make certain decisions and say,
Yeah.
be clear to them and say, okay, I'm willing to do this and I'm willing to go this far with you. But if you don't change in this area, or if you don't change in this situation, it could jeopardize our relationship.
Yeah. And that could mean if you're setting boundaries for yourself, that could easily mean you get to a point where you're like, okay, I've tried so hard. Now we need
Hmm.
to get someone to really help us.
Wow, that's
And
true.
there's nothing wrong with asking for help, because if you feel like I've tried my hardest to sort of deal with this in house, deal with this, the two of us, and we're really
Mm,
not getting anywhere, the next step that you could take is to then get that financial help, get someone to sit with you guys and talk you through. You can even talk to maybe another couple that you really, really trust,
yeah.
and you know that they wouldn't then talk about your business to other people, but it's just getting that help or getting that different perspective.
Mm,
You might find that your partner might actually receive that advice or receive that information from someone else better,
mm,
and really start to understand, like, oh, okay, I see that me doing this particular thing or me not being that good with money is really affecting our relationship. So asking for help is important if you really feel like, okay, I'm at a point where I can't deal.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't forget to ask for help. But that leads us to the second point. So the second thing is to remember to be patient. Now, Rome wasn't built in a day. And like you said, habits don't change in a day either. So
Mm,
it's important that if you're actually seeing some sort of change happening, whether it's not happening at the pace that you want it to happen at, but you're actually seeing that, okay, they're taking the initiative to do better with money, try and be patient with your partner. Don't then sit there or stand there and then say to them, okay, I see change, but it's really not happening as fast as I would want it to.
yeah.
The thing to remember is that Rome wasn't built in a day, and it might take a while for your partner
Mm,
to get to a place where they're doing better with money.
hmm.
But as long as you're seeing them take that step
Yeah.
and changing their habits and changing the way they're used to dealing with money, appreciate that and even encourage them or applaud them for the steps that they're taking. So it's important to remember patience. Patience is key.
It is key. But the final thing that we think you should do for yourself, and this is probably, in my opinion, going to be the number one thing you should do throughout this whole time, is to be extremely hot. When we say hot, we mean to be honest, open, and transparent, to be completely clear about how you feel, about what you think. If they're doing something well, be transparent and
Yeah.
open with them and say, yes, you're doing this thing really well. If they've done something that's not quite right, just be honest with them and just say, okay, listen, I know you've tried and I know you put in the work, but it's not quite there
Mm.
yet. And be very honest and upfront, even with yourself, and say, I'm really feeling this right now. This is really negatively impacting our situation, our family, our livelihood. But be completely hot throughout the whole time, because for me, that is the
Right.
foundation of really working together as a team with money. Because at the end of the day, if your partner is bad with money, sometimes maybe they don't think that they're bad with money,
Yeah.
but it takes you being honest, open, and transparent with them and saying, okay, this is why I think this way. This is the reasons why I think like this. This is why I'm feeling like this, maybe,
Right.
and at the end of the day, you want to do it in a way that's loving, as we said earlier
Right.
on, in a way that's not condescending, where you're saying I'm better than you,
Yeah.
but it's really just you just saying, okay, honestly speaking, I love you, but this needs to change, and I really am for you, but this area right here, we need to really look into this and try and shift things and make things a bit different. Yeah, so check out the Couples Money Starter Kit workbook. We've put the link in the description for this for you to check it out. It is a workbook that we've put together again for you to start working together as a team with your finances. Don't forget to like this video if you found it super valuable. Would love to know your thoughts. What would you do differently? How would you approach this in your situation? Comment below to let us know. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified of our next video when it comes out.